We know that in the ACT there are families that need to access multiple services to get what they need to live their lives.
But when you put all those services together, they don't necessarily work.
They can't easily find what they're looking for, and they have challenges negotiating the various different services that are on offer. So this project was about understanding that. This project was about walking in the shoes of those families to see how they saw the system and to see what we could do to improve it.
It's usual for government to, come up with their policy ideas first and then once they're almost finished, test them with the community. In this case, government said we've got to do this differently.
And working with an organisation like ThinkPlace, we could really initiate a very innovative process to design services in a different way.
We have a fairly sound series of stages that we actually go through with any sort of co-design project, and in particular it's always about setting the stage for the right people to come together.
There were really 4 parties in this project. There was the ACT government, the community sector, and obviously the families. And ThinkPlace was the 4th party.
We are kind of like the glue, trying to bring different perspectives into the project, trying to get their different opinions from different stakeholders.
And then going through a stage of actually understanding what are we trying to find out, and then actually going through a stage of listening, so just getting out into the citizens' world.
This was really different and really exciting. This was about getting involved on the ground floor, but importantly, getting the citizens, the clients involved early as well.
And they weren't just involved as a token gesture of showing that you'd spoken to a client, which so often happens. It was actually a really respectful process where the clients owned their story.
To sit alongside families, people like myself who are senior executives in government, and to hear firsthand how they experience our services, and then to talk ideas through with them about what could be done differently.
We then used that information to distill what we call journey maps, which are some visual representations of the experience of those people.
And then it's about saying, from what we've heard, what does that actually now mean, and how do we bring that together as a series of stories? And then from those stories, how do we unpack those to say, well, what's really critical, what's going on here, where can we make a difference?
Our reflection sessions happen every Friday, and we had a number of people come along from government and the community sector.
It involved players from all levels, from the decision makers at the top all the way to the frontline workers who were delivering the services practically and visibly in the community.
It was input from all different parties, from all different perspectives. The input that we were able to bring to the table was one of very much the coalface.
So we've broken down a lot of the hierarchies between the government and the community sector, between service providers and families.
They've created a space for us to, I suppose, do a lot of creative thinking in the ways in which we address or work with families and children.
It may have been writing on walls, it may have been dumping our ideas onto post-it notes, or it may just be, bouncing some ideas back and forth verbally. But it was exciting, and it was something that we were really interested in.
What was really fruitful from it was that everyone was really open, honest and frank, and I think that comes from a want and a desire for things to be better.
ThinkPlace have then really structured that conversation and made sure that it's reducing a pointy end. It's one thing to come up with the ideas and to identify the problem. It's another thing to translate that into workable proposals.
One of the key messages we got from the families was it's all really hard. It's very complex.
And so one of our ideas that came forward was a notion that's called a community hub.
And that addresses the issue of families not knowing where to go and families not being referred to the right services. We also identified the need for a family information profile where families can store their information.
That would allow a more comprehensive, fuller picture of you rather than having to continually tell bits of your story.
We also identified the need in certain cases for a lead caseworker, so somebody that is responsible for that family and the collaboration of all the services that are helping them.
At the moment, people have caseworkers for their service, but this was about a caseworker for the person.
I think the outcomes have been extremely profound in a short amount of time. And now where the project's going is really launching into a new phase of let's go and implement this.
It was generally agreed by the ACT government people, by the community sector, by the families themselves, that these three ideas together would work together to give a much better experience for the people.
The co-design approach is really about breaking down barriers between traditional areas in terms of making decisions.
It's about prototyping really early, thinking of ideas, brainstorming and not being afraid to fail.
The motto of learning by doing has been kept alive throughout this project.
From taking a bit of a risk to actually step out of the norm, the pattern of actually going and finding out how things work and how things could work.
Courage is a really driving principle for our team, and I think it was really nice to be involved in something that was courageous as opposed to being mediocre.
It's been a great learning process for myself being involved in this to undertake public policy development in a different way.
The co-design approach that has been developed through this project is really the way of the future, and I'd be very keen to see people at senior levels in government see this as an innovative approach to take on.
That will be influential for myself in terms of the way that I do future policy work in the ACT government, but also about ways we can build on this and continue that strong collaborative effort for the benefit of our families.
I think our uniqueness is very much the design thinking approach coupled with a strategic approach and with a very strong commitment from everyone on the team here at ThinkPlace to make a difference for people and for the community more broadly.